Ghana plans to start buying oil with gold instead of the US dollar, and there's so much to cover here because this is incredible news. Just some backstory, right? Just so you guys can understand why this is huge, this is big, because Ghana produces oil. Sorry, Ghana does not produce. Ghana produces gold, so it makes the most sense. And gold is like one of the most valuable assets on the planet, or resources on the planet. And so, if Ghana produces oil, gold, it makes more sense for them to trade with gold directly. So here are some things that you guys should understand about why gold is the biggest move from Ghana as they naturally produce it. Just to give you guys some understanding. The US dollar used to be backed by gold. Like there was a finite amount of that's where the US dollar developed its value. But in 1971, Richard Nixon took the US off the gold standard. And what happened? The currency, inflation hit the currency. And since then, the US dollar has not been backed by gold. Instead, the US dollar is backed by debt. That's why you see massive recessions. That's why if you go and look at the US debt calculator, you'll see how serious, how severe this really is, because when it comes down to it, the dollar is not backed by anything right now but debt, the illusion of its value. So let me just show you US debt clock, right? So there's legitimately a website called the US debt clock, and you can see every second it goes up. You can see exactly how much the US dollar is in, or the US is in debt, which shows you that the country's in debt, the currency is even less valuable, right? So you guys can understand. Look at this. This is how much debt the US is in. The dollar is backed by debt and the strength of the US word. And now Ghana is saying they no longer want to. Just before I even break this down, right? The US dollar is backed by debt and not gold. So how did the US get the world to purchase oil in dollars, the petrodollar? And that happened with Richard Nixon. He signed a deal with Saudi Arabia in the mid 1970s. And this was such a lucrative deal because the deal there was that, in exchange for military weapons, military arms, you will only trade oil for USD. So that made it global, universal. And Saudi Arabia did this because they wanted to be the leader in the Middle East. They were rivals with Iran. So the US actually supported Saudi Arabia by also sanctioning Iran and just making Saudi the power of the Middle East. So that's how they agreed to do that deal. But what is happening now is we're having countries, it first started with China, China having announcing, or Saudi Arabia announced, I can't remember who announced it, but that they will start, or they might start accepting Chinese yen instead of dollar. So the petrodollar is potentially no longer going to happen. Then we have BRICS. BRICS is some countries that are coming together, an economic alliance. South Africa, India, China, Russia, forget the last country. And Saudi Arabia is planning to join BRICS. Now, and then there are so many other countries that are trying to join BRICS, including Nigeria. Now, if all these countries join BRICS, the West are not going to be the superpower that they are anymore. So let's get back to this. The US was able to, yes, US dollar was backed by gold. When America just wanted to keep expanding, they had to get off the gold standard. This made inflation go crazy, but the US dollar was now backed by oil. with the petrodollar, everybody has to buy oil in dollars. That's in the mid 1970s, and that kind of secured the dollar. But now that these countries are going off of the dollar standard, now these countries are offering their own currencies. And guess where Ghana comes into play? Ghana produces gold. Gold is more valuable than any currency in the world. Ghana is saying that they're going to buy, they're going to buy oil with a resource that they produce in their own country. This completely eliminates the value of the US dollar in yet another country. Because every time people have to exchange dollars for oil, the US, more money is going into the dollar. But now people are bypassing the dollar, and Ghana is even doing a better move, going directly with its natural resources. This type of strategy is what will make an African nation stronger. This is a huge strategy, and I think all African nations should do this. A few weeks ago, there's a video that went viral, and if I can find it, I'll play it. But there was this woman that basically was talking about how these like francophone countries, all of these basically the CFA, so the African francs, their money is printed and distributed from France. Can you imagine having a currency that you don't control within your own country? So France prints and distributes their CF francs, which is across, French Africa. And so France basically extracts their natural resources, but in order for them to have access to their currency, they have to provide their natural resources to France. This is like probably the most ludicrous thing that you have ever heard of, because if these countries wisened up, they would act like Ghana, because your natural resources like gold, for example, are far more valuable than your local currency or any currency in the world. So you could tell France, take that French CF francs, take it away. We don't want it. Don't print any more for us. We're going to create our own currency. Screw you, France. We're going to create our own currency. But there probably would be a war if this happened. But people need to fight back against colonizers. We're going to create our own currency, and we're going to back it by our own natural resources. If Africa did that, the whole world would go upside down. The world would never allow Africa to do that. There would be war everywhere. And these African leaders, they just don't have the priority of building their nations. So we don't see that happening. I'm trying to find this video. Just give me a moment. But what do you think? What do you think about this not France, about Ghana backing their currency with gold, purchasing oil with gold? It's probably the most genius move I think I've seen in the 21st century. I want to see more African countries, African nations make bold moves like this. This is genius. Now, if I can find this video, I will play it for you. Where's this video? I'm getting close. Getting close. Man. So perhaps I'll play another video, or I'll probably latch it onto the end of this if I do find it. But this is what I gotta say. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. You're watching OVG, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.